The UK, US, and UK just shocked all XRP holders. Let me see what's that.
Ladies and gentlemen.
So yeah, I feel like the market pump could be starting soon as well. That would be pretty amazing.
All of you watching today's video are not nearly bullish enough. Now, why is that? Well, in case you are unaware, all of the world's leading economies, all of the world's largest companies right now are investing massively into the crypto space. And these aren't just minuscule little investments, a little bit of, payment transactions here, a little bit of this there. We're talking about multi-trillion-dollar investments.
I mean, yeah, of course, they're going to get money from that. We are just before the rate cuts are starting to happen. That's why I feel like that Solana could really pump up, not just XRP. XRP has been a huge growth this year, but there are others that have a lot of potential right now. This could be like the new meme coin cycle that we have been seeing. I don't think it's going to be strong. I feel like, Pump Fund is great and all the projects we were seeing, but I feel it's going to be hard to come back to where we were in 2021. That's the big problem here.
Unlike anything we have ever seen before. And so I'm going to share that with you guys here in today's video. I'm going to talk about why I am becoming increasingly more bullish. And well, tomorrow I want to remind you guys, the Fed is going to be announcing their rate cut decision. These are all culminating together to create a bull run unlike anything else before. But I need you guys to stay until the very end of the video because I will share some alarming data, which should cause you guys to pull the reins just a little bit and evaluate and analyze the markets. But we'll get to that. First, let's talk about the world leading economies and what they're doing in the crypto space. The US and the UK are about to announce a new crypto cooperation deal. What does this mean? Well, very likely what this is to do with is something to do with stablecoins. What we know is the United States of America wants to deeply involve themselves in the world of stablecoins. And
that's very true because if you have stablecoins, you can literally have faster transfers at that rate. Everything is going to be faster. It's going to be cheaper. And, more transactions means more volume, which more volume means more money for everyone, especially the banks.
And this is a way that the US dollar will have more demand, of course, for treasuries, because for every dollar that goes into a US stablecoin, it is backed by a treasury, which is, of course, great for the US government and, their debt. But on top of that, it also improves US dollar dominance on an international scale. And so what we're seeing today is the US government basically scrambling to get everyone to use stablecoins. Because if every single bank started using stablecoins instead of the US dollar, it would actually be substantially better for the...
I feel like the big problem here is a lot of people still don't realize how stable coins are still very far away. I feel like they're at least, 1 to 3 years far away. So a lot of people are thinking, well, they're just, 1 to 2 weeks. I still feel like the regulation here is still super early. Even like a lot of the stuff we have in crypto, it's super, super early in that sense. We have never seen something so early. Like we have been waiting since 2021 for that.
US economy. Why? Well, there'll be immense amount of liquidity available to the US government for deficit spending. This would be a dream come true for them. And in a lot of ways, it would also be better for the average consumer who's transacting in US dollars. Transactions would be quite a bit faster. There'd be less guardrails on those transactions, less people telling you that you can and can't do things. And overall, it's a net win. Now, what is going to come of this particular deal, we have yet to see. But based off of everything that I have observed, it's likely to be to do with US dollar stablecoins. And this is probably not going to be the first cooperation deal in the crypto space when it comes to stablecoins. It's probably going to be...
Yeah, US and UK to announce a new crypto cooperation deal. Mostly 99% of the time, it is about stablecoins. That is true. But the thing we are really waiting for is the Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is what's pushing for a lot of people here. That's what people are hoping for. The Clarity Act regulation getting approved.
every single country starting to make these sort of deals because they all realize the benefit in using stablecoins over their currency. Some countries might launch stablecoins that are backed by the US dollar, such as the BRICS alliances. Others might just continue to buy their own treasuries, like US, UK, and many other European countries. But one thing is becoming adamantly clear. People are buying gold, people are buying stocks at record numbers, and the majority of this volume has yet to come into the crypto space. Yes, today XRP is up. It's at about 305, which is amazing, but it's not getting anywhere near the same amount of volume as the gold and stock market is right now. And as I mentioned in my previous video, and as I will continue to mention in the future to remind you guys, it comes in cycles. Gold, stocks, crypto. And so
gold isn't really used a lot right now. The issue is gold is hard to actually get through out there. That's the big major thing. Like, how are you going to do like 10 kilos of gold? How will you move that from one place to another? People are buying it because they're preparing for some sort of a recession in 2025. Or late 2026, early 2026. And that's why gold is going up at this point. That's the main reason.
That we're seeing with gold, based off of the all-time highs that we're seeing, even for some other crypto assets like BNB absolutely rocketing up lately to $950 per coin. It happens in cycles, and altcoin season is coming.
Nice.
Now, earlier in the video, I did mention...
Yeah, so more companies are joining in to add these crypto payments on the new AI payments protocol, which is just general news. I think we have been seeing that for like last 4 years. So Michael Saylor and multiple executives to meet U.S. lawmakers tomorrow to help advance strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. Now, that's pretty cool. But again, this is just regulation that's probably going to take 1, 2, 3, 4 years to even get ahead.
Bitcoin reserve bill. This alone could potentially bring in hundreds of billions of dollars of volume to Bitcoin, which once again will be recycled down to Ethereum, to XRP, to Solana, to BNB at some point in time. There's a lot of whales that are watching this information. They're saying, okay, like if the US government's going to start buying, I don't know, like $1 billion of Bitcoin every other day or something like that, this is going to be huge. And this is something that the US government can absolutely do. And it's something that they want to do. And they're just looking at, a deficit neutral ways to make this happen so that they can get a strategic reserve and they can be part of this party. And so, yeah, they might be buying Bitcoin quite a bit higher than where it was a little while ago. It would have been great if they did this a long time ago, but they're doing it. And this is amazing. This should make people incredibly excited. Because if they're successful in doing this, everyone who's in the crypto space right now will have a lot to gain if they're navigating these markets correctly. I think there's a very high likelihood that many people will get a little...
I feel like, Pump Fund, all these projects that are not XRP will get regulated at some point. That is the truth. Like, a lot of these projects are going to get regulated while technologies will get ahead. Like, XRP, that's the one that they have been pushing for. Michael Saylor and multiple crypto executives to meet US lawmakers. Like, again, in a very early stage at that point.
Bit too cocky and not navigate these markets correctly, and that's why I make these videos, because I want to remind you guys of what I think is the best move at what time. Not financial advice, just what I'm doing, but we're gonna see what comes of it. Now, I also did mention earlier in my video that there was some things you need to watch out for, and you should definitely stay and watch until this point in the video, and that is what's going on in the banks. And this is why the Fed, I want to make it very clear, is absolutely forced to cut rates. If they don't cut rates, we're going to see the worst financial crisis we have ever seen in our entire lifetime. So, unrealized losses on investment securities for U.S. banks has reached $395.3 billion in Q2 of 2025. This is 6 times higher than at the peak of the 2008 financial crisis. This also marks the 13th consecutive quarter of losses as interest...
Wasn't that the time of where the market was recovering anyway? So that is pretty normal. Like, losses are a normal thing with banks.
2008 and the crisis that came over here, and we compare that to what we're seeing right here today, it becomes abundantly clear that there is a severe issue here. Now, I do want to point out that 2008 was not great. 2017 and 2018 not amazing during this period of time, but there are periods of time where they are profitable, and you can see the profits growing and the losses growing. Where they are profitable. What I'm assuming is the banks are hoping here that once interest rates are lowered aggressively enough, the markets will go crazy again and we'll be all good. Now, this is by no means guaranteed, but if the Fed doesn't do anything, it poses such a significant risk to the global economy that, frankly speaking, they would be forced to step in. It would be infinitely worse than the 2008 financial crisis. The amount of stimulus and printing that the Fed would have to do to bail out these banks.
The issue here is 2008 cannot compare too much to 2022's crashes, because 2008 crashes are safe in that way. Like, we're way less safe. So 2008 crashes, we could see way more than 2022, for example.
This time around would make 2008 look like peanuts. And that's precisely why I know the Fed is likely to continue to lower rates so that they can provide this stimulus for the foreseeable future here. The Fed has kept rates extremely high for far too long, and it is detrimental. But you can see a little trend here. The losses are getting less severe, and the rate cuts will only help this as well. And what I'm hoping is very shortly here, we're going to be seeing banks recover and the economy steamrolling ahead, and the stock market, crypto market, and gold, everything absolutely exploding. But these figures I'm going to continue to report for you guys because they are very important figures. The quality of CPI inflation data is also deteriorating. People just do not trust the Fed. They do not trust the information that they are being reported as, and that makes sense because they're constantly revising it. People are done with the Federal Reserve, and if the Fed does not cut rates...
Yeah, I agree with Levi here. Like, we really need some rate cuts at this point. Levi is pretty spot on a lot of this stuff. But here, unrealized losses, bank continue to pose a significant risk. Again, the banks have a lot of money, so it's not that big of a problem here. So yeah, overall, there's more collaboration. We're going to be seeing some news for the markets this week. US and UK to announce new crypto corporation deal, which is amazing. We have been kind of waiting for that type of deal for today. So we do have gold reaching new all-time highs, which is also amazing. But it's nothing really worth noting here. I want to see if there's anything new except the rate cuts, which are the big thing for today. So yeah, the rate cuts is something I'm going to be live streaming. Michael Saylor, meeting up with people. It's great and it's good for the, total crypto regulation, but we're still like 3, 4, 5 years away. Crypto is here to stay, but a lot of this stuff that we are seeing right now, we're seeing meme coins, we're seeing everything like that. It's being pretty crazy now, and that will get probably regulated at this point in some way, shape, or form. And XRP has been building up for multiple of years.